guilds that are purposely kind of comped and designed and focused on fighting 30v30, 50v50. Now, getting 50 people to do anything is kind of a hassle nowadays, so let's just focus on the 30s. That's a format that may seem kind of strange. Like maybe, you've played in an open field guild that has had that many people before. But the thing is, in China, in these other regions, they actually run 30s as like their standard GvG comp. They're 30 people on one team basically fighting. I'm gonna mute this. And so, whereas EU and NA used to have 25s, and then we couldn't field enough people for 25s, so then they ran 20s. And and maybe like a year later, people didn't have enough people for 20s either, and then the scale went down to 15s. China has enough density where they couldn't have enough people for 50s, so they went to 30s. So it's twice the numbers. What does that mean in practice? Well, you still have some pre-blasting of stealth. You have what they also do. You can see here is pre-stacking of might as well. They use warriors for reveals. I don't think there's, from my understanding and interactions, there isn't really kind of a policy on driver sniping. Whether you can or can't do it, everything's fair game there. But as you can see, once the stealth is gone, it's very, it kind of looks like an open field fight in a ways, but it's very much a sustained battle. These guys play it in your face, a test of who can sustain and DPS higher. Whether or not it plays out the same way in NA, or, well, EU is not relevant here, but that would be obviously kind of dependent on the players here and the drivers here. But this is how they play it in China. And the comps, it looks hidden, but you can tell in Arc DPS they're using Berserkers, Scourges, Dragon Hunters. You have your Firebrands. There are Scrappers too. The comp-wise, party comps are pretty similar. The biggest departure from open field would be there's just less usage of Thief and Tempest. Because single targeting, as you might imagine, is just not as time efficient as just concentrating a good AoE bomb. And so I think that might be where 30v30s would have more appeal to more groups and more guilds on NA, I think, than GvG. And I don't mean that to disparage GvG, but like, if many of you guys have done it before, and there's obviously a very big like skill gap, and if you don't get the stealth perfectly, if you don't understand how the single targeting works, well, then you are at a very strong disadvantage. If your scrappers don't understand how to stealth and to peel for focus targets, it's very painful for any guild to get started and pick that stuff up. This is much more familiar. This is just basically organized Zerg fights, 30-man Zerg fights. And because they do this in the arena, you don't really have this pirate shipy kind of go to Africa kind of tendency here, where people just out of combat or range, or you don't have ads. The numbers are the same, so people can be a little bit more melee oriented. They don't have to worry about getting ass jammed. Popping sneak jars at the start might not be the most optimal choice, as many open field groups do in NA. You aren't punished for not having a thief, a good vault thief on your team that can steal and one shot like an enemy focus target. You don't need that. I mean, maybe it's not because it's suboptimal, or maybe it's the way to go, but the Chinese guys aren't using it. Maybe it could be a thing on NA. Maybe I shouldn't speak prematurely. But yeah, just look at their playstyle. It's very like, they have one target, they're DH pulling him. They're running 8 pages. Firebrands have decent sustain. There's a lot of heft here. They're using, I believe, banners for res utility, and most of the groups in China prefer to use Sanctuary, though, obviously on NA and EU, Signet is more popular. Commanders are typically Mesmers, Chrono commanders, so that's also pretty similar to Open Field. Scrappers, same build, they use the same shit with, Medkit Scrapper. You have Scourges running Power Curses, same thing over there. Devouring Darkness, Double Offhands, Absorption. So the Firebrand build is pretty much the same. I mean, with minor trait differences. Scrapper build is probably identical. Scourge build is very similar, if not identical, to what NA and EU are probably using. They don't use Revenants, except for Renegade, so there won't be Heralds. That's going to be something similar to 15s, where Herald just doesn't do enough to sustain damage to be worthwhile to bring in a comp. So you might have some Rens for Boon Strip and Roads. Banish Enchant, of course, you guys know, kind of got nerfed recently, so it's a little less popular now. They use Berserkers for spike damage. Or AoE sustain damage rather, with longbow and greatsword. They let's see, usually just one chrono, maybe two at most. And there was previously some like usage of Reaper, though that has kind of faded off, I think. Some guilds do it. It's more common in their 20s scene, to be honest. Where some of the other necro specs can shine, but Breach OP, Trail OP, all that stuff. Let's see, what else am I missing? Spellbreaker is not used a whole lot. That may change with the banner patch this week. But obviously everything I'm saying is kind of a reflection of how their community plays the game, and NA might play it differently. But I think the 3 out of the 5 classes will probably be the same, which is the Scourge, the Firebrand, and the Scrapper. That's kind of most of the hard bullet points that I wanted to discuss. Everything else is pretty similar to 15s. You have commanders in both teams PMing each other, timers, a little bit of pre-round stealth, but again, it's not as impactful because you have reveals and, well, let's just put it this way. Like, if a scrapper goes out to reveal, then you could just bomb the main stack and, blow them up. So it's not as like, I think they've decided just to collectively prioritize group survival instead of going for individual focus targets, because putting yourself out of combat to spike a target puts you at risk of just getting well bombed. Right. Okay. Does anybody have any questions while we're talking here, or otherwise I can keep showing you other clips, examples of some of the top guilds that were doing 30s over there. Some more people are joining. Let me just see who's here.
So we're just gonna comp up and do 30v30s in the mist, right? Like that's basically the gist of it.
Pretty much.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. The party structure will reflect the people that we have. It's going to be, I think it's going to be very similar to open field meta, but I don't think it's not going to be a bad thing. The key thing here is I just want people to get familiarized with fighting as a tight group and brawling, like actually just brawling. Because 15s is kind of a turnoff for people, and the single targeting and stealthing phase of the fights are real barriers to entry for many people. I'm hoping that this is more like accessible. Not everybody has to be like an MLG player to do 30s. Like you can pick up a meta battle build and kind of just get going with it and stack on tag, and we can, because we're going to be doing this as a community, we can kind of curate the team so it's not completely one-sided, right? Or adjust the comps as necessary. So um, that's kind of my hope here, to get as many people interested to just check it out. If it turns out that there's no interest and people are saying, "Oh, this is dog shit," who cares? Open field's a lot more interesting. Fighting, multiple guilds at once and or a map queue. I'd rather do that. If that's what you feel, then that's fair. But this kind of repeatable content with relatively even teams of people that are all PMA running, almost the same builds you find in open field and just getting rounds in, getting reps in. I think that's going to be good for getting people up to speed on how fights work. I think it's going to be good for fun. I think it could be good content, and there's not going to be as crazy of a learning curve as there would be for um, in houses as they are currently. That's the end of my spiel. So nobody has any other questions. I'll just keep queuing up videos and I can show you some recent GvGs and I'll just shut up and let people talk for a minute.
So they just like straight up don't do any 15s or 20s.
They do have a 15 scene, but it's a lot smaller than fewer guilds do it because the main goal is to get like 20s or 30s. Here, they even have an instructional video on how to play GvG.
How about 60v60, dude? We just stand next to each other, like, and then we bomb on Q. All right, and then whoever survives wins.
Um,
We've got to get 120 people together. It's not a problem.
yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Like, especially like any of you folks that don't normally GvG. I want to hear from you. This is not going to feel like open field world versus world. It's going to be a lot more like closer to like a rugby match than it would be the the feints and the baiting of the stability and the sneak gyro in and all that stuff that people typically do in open field. Like this is going to be a
We're
lot
gonna
more.
stand in front of each other and punch each other in the face.
Um, yeah, it's throwing a bucket of cold water at PvPers. I feel like they're going to have a culture shock when they see it. It might be closer to PvE rating, to be honest, because you are kind of doing sort of like there's a lot of stacking mechanics, right? When you're doing any sort of organized group content.
Are you saying revealing would be? Are you saying like it's again you would ban it, or it's more like it's just bad, so you shouldn't do it?
Nothing is banned, but the people in China don't do it probably because it's suboptimal. I mean, not to reveal, but in that if you have a thief going for reveals in 30s, you probably have a very squishy player that could instantly get killed when the AoE start dropping. So they probably usually just put it on the warriors set be on site.
Oh, I don't think
Um,
these are revealed, did they? I thought it was just the warriors and scrappers.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of Bassy Venom for scrappers, but
Uh,
because of the
yeah.
ages, yeah. Um, yeah, so you do in some videos you do have warriors going for site beyond site to reveal. But usually like look at what this or yeah, I do not believe it's a comp issue, as in they lack scrappers because These guilds all have like 60, 70 man rosters, 100-man rosters. Like they can sustain it. And their scene has like enough guilds at GvG, dozens that do it regularly at 30s. So I do not think it's because they don't know how to reveal or they banned it. Yeah. Let me find another video. Not for 30s. It is for 50s though. 50s is how do I put it? 50s is like the servers are kind of shit because I guess like their EotM servers are just worse or yeah, but they always bitch about their servers there. 30s should be perfectly fine though. As long as there aren't like 50 people in the stands. The big challenge I think right now is we got to figure out how we get 60 people to actually do this because on my Discord only 20 people reacted that were interested. And I'm not sure if that's because everyone just has my Discord muted or whatever, but even in the in-houses lately, I think I've only had like at most, like 20 people in each team, sometimes closer to 15 or 12. So, oh, I guess this is a Power Hollow POV of
I mean, we can
some
just ping
30s.
whatever respective discords and see who shows up. Really, that's fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to talk to the space guys because I thought they usually do like some kind of big community event on Thursdays with their alliance, but Benny hasn't been saying anything to me.
They do, but the person that usually hosts him is working nowadays. Like they did in the past, but they've been working recently.
Mm-hmm. Looks like some bomb kits, power, hollow gameplay. Do you know what his name is?
The person that leads them,
That usually does the in-houses?
but one of them is. Let me go check general real quick. Yeah, it's Benjamin 1650.
Okay. Kinda does have some like slightly marginally better infusions, but I don't think that makes up for the difference in like I don't think they have like some overpowered healing gear that is why like everybody is able to just put their head, and face roll each other. Um hmm, yeah.
Yeah, we just see who shows up and go at it, dude. I'm down to brawl for whatever.
Okay. Is there a time that works best for you guys? Because I was thinking just NA Prime, 6 p.m. like or 9 p.m. Eastern.
Like 9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, that's fine.
Um, does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, we do.
What did you?
drivers?
Oh, drivers. I will lead if nobody else wants to. I also asked Jay to lead. I'm also open to any guild or alliance or any person who's at all curious to lead rounds.
I'll see if FTL the Stoic wants to do any. They have people. Really depends.
Yeah. Oh, here's some 50v50s, by the way, if you want to see it.
These are always fun.
This is in OS. Once it loads, I can play it. So a lot of berserkers, some vindicators, scourge. I can't believe he's using effect LOD.
Yeah, I was
Turn
gonna
it on,
say,
though.
dang, look, he's switching targets, but then I just realized he's using that annoying
Yeah.
targeting system. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why did he tap target so much?
Why are they tab targeting?
No, I just realized he was using the
Action
special,
cam?
whatever it's called, action cam.
Yeah. Just gotta use it for to land your F1s.
Oh, does it? Oh, never mind. Yeah.
So anyways, that's they do 50s as well, but usually only the bigger, larger guilds do it. Because it's, well, you need 50 people, so.
That's blood. That's constantly blood, yeah. Scourges don't usually run out NA, but I suppose something on EU for blood and magic.
It doesn't look like all of them have it. I think it's just the party with the Reaper in it.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, probably.
See? Oh, wait. Oh, that's Last Rites.
Right.
Party now.
Are you sure it isn't,
Yeah.
could be Soul Reap? No, it's not Soul Reaping.
Nah,
it's
it's
a
pretty
blood spirit.
standard. Like you just. It's a pretty. It
Why
looks
do you
the
even
comp
do
looks standard as fuck. They're just not running heralds. That's all it is.
What
Yeah,
the-
they're a big believer in Herald being
Yeah,
obsolete.
It's
So
just Firebrand Scrapper, Double Scourge, and then Power DPS.
mhm. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, just run, dude. We just see what we have when we show up. I will talk to Stoich and see if he wants to do some rounds. Cause I know he can pull 30 just by himself there. So that'll at least
Yeah.
cover. And I'm not sure people are probably aren't gonna mind just like sitting out around if they have to, if we get extras, or just we just do whatever uneven numbers is fine too. It doesn't really matter.
The thing I want to be particular about is I really I don't want people to be on random ass classes.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's, of course there's like some bit of discovery here and seeing what works and what doesn't, but even if you have the belief that Chinese players are somehow like dog shit and don't know what the fuck they're doing, like they've been doing this for years and at the scale, like, and given the fact that EOD, balance patches haven't really been that transformative in the meta, like you could probably, it stands to reason that they probably have a decent starting point of just where the meta is at. You just copy what they're going. We run, as a baseline, just the same shit that we use in open field, FB, Scourge, Scrapper, DH. And if you're really passionate, then you put some extra berserkers in there, and but you don't put things like Thief or Weaver or
Oh yeah, we just
you know,
just standard like 30-man comp road, and that's
right.
all they're running. You're not running anything crazy, so I don't. Yeah, it's like 5-6 classes. It's nothing crazy.
Those their well of corruption, well of
corruption.
suffering.
The wells just looks different in China.
It's, schools are banned, or any imagery of schools are banned. That's why everything looks different.
There's curses right there, so. But I don't see blood on this guy. He's not using the. Vampiric.
You can choose a standard Scourge build.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just
Most-
the fucking. There's not that many traits to choose from. Realistically, it's pretty fucking standard.
Most people I've talked to are running spike curses, soul reaping.
Yeah.
It's Bite Curses sounds more.
Sorry, spike curses and scourge, not spike. Yeah. Just name 3 trait
Well,
ones.
yeah. Well, freaking soul reaping doesn't give the big crit chance anymore, right? It's like 50% crit damage now, and then 10% crit chance or some shit. So it's really. It's not as worth.
Yeah. All right. Well, for anybody that just joined, we kind of talked about 30v30s, where the idea came from, how we want to do it, the builds, the comps, and the timing. I guess tomorrow we're shooting for tomorrow NA Prime at around 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, sounds good.
If your guild is raiding at that time, ask your guild leader, ask your drivers if they want to maybe give this a shot instead and pool our members together, because I don't know how much content you're going to get on a Thursday, and also this is going to be fun, and it's going to be a lot of content packed in a couple of hours, as opposed to running on the BLs and trying to find fights for across the map and everything. So
It's tomorrow?
tomorrow at I'm shooting for 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. If that's way too early or late for some people, just let's talk about it, and yeah.